This is a Hot Pie Media original.
What the hell is this about? What did I? Is this like? Are we tripping out on acid here? Are you kidding me? Place your bets, taxpayers. Didn't see this one coming. Yeah. I read up on this. It's a thing. Brilliant. This would be that time many of us would say, you know, if and when they do this, this is the reason why. This is the reason why, Beto, you'll lose. You just sit around, you hide inside, whatever you do. And then I would say this to anybody. You fool. You total fool. You missed your chance. I don't know what you want to do with your bets, but I say place your bets. This feels, and I read the bill, and it's very sensible, as usual. It's very practical. And I don't like to say that about anybody in politics. I just said the congressional and parking lot is disgusting and obscene, and you should hate them. But I got to say, this one's pretty well thought out, and I have a weird feeling it might have a chance. So I'm walking up to the window again, placing a bet again. A new Republican-led congressional, that's what it says, Republican-led. Congressional marijuana legalization bill is imminent. The measure is being framed by advocates as a compromise between simple descheduling as proposed by other GOP lawmakers and wide-ranging comprehensive legislation with Democratic leaders are championing. The draft of the legislation, think about this, which is being led by Representative Nancy Mace, a Republican of South Carolina. Yeah, I know. It's not going to happen in Texas. I know. This is interesting. So here's the way this works. And there's, I read through the legislation. It's essentially what she's proposed. South Carolina. No, not Texas. It's the devil here. We are stuck in the 1800s. But this would go on a federal level. This would be the game changer. No, I'm not advocating you smoke or do the cannabis. I'm just advocating that you no longer put people in jail for it. The measure, titled the States Reform Act, is being circulated among stakeholders for feedback and is therefore preliminary, but a final version is expected to be officially filed later this month. What they're going to do is, in fact, they've titled it this way, is it would turn cannabis into the exact same legislation and bureaucracy that governs alcohol. They just replace alcohol, you put cannabis in there, and there's your bill. How about that? Now, again, I'm asking you to place your bets because she was the only GOP vote in favor of a cannabis research bill for veterans during a committee last Thursday. So I don't know what happens to it, but it's an interesting twist on this at the federal level. Here's the way it would work. And you can ask yourself if you'd be okay with this. Now, the state of Texas, it will not happen. This will be the last place on the planet. Hell, we just had legislation that outlawed what's legal, right? This will be the last place on the planet that ever does this. The last place on the planet. Okay? We're in the Stone Age. But this might render them moot. Cannabis would be federally descheduled and treated in a matter similar to alcohol. A 3.75% excise tax would be imposed on cannabis sales. Revenue would support grant programs for community reentry, law enforcement, and small business administration for newly licensed businesses. Did you find a problem with it so far? Any normal person? Do you find a problem so far with the 2 bullet points? Any normal person? The Treasury Department's Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau would be the chief regulator for marijuana with respect to interstate commerce. Again, this is making your knuckleheads in the state of Texas obsolete. They're not going to like this. the Dan Patricks and the moral Ken Paxtons of the world, they're not going to like this at all. But this kind of cuts them off, I think. All right, bullet point number 4. The Food and Drug Administration would be limited in its regulatory authority, with the intent being that it would have no more control over cannabis than it does for alcohol, except when it comes to medical cannabis. I think it's pretty smart. That's the right way to do it. The agency could prescribe serving size, certified designated state medical cannabis products, and approve and regulate pharmaceuticals derived from marijuana, but could not ban the use of cannabis or its derivatives in non-drug applications, like in designated state medical cannabis products, dietary supplements, foods, beverages, etc. Raw cannabis, bullet point number 5, would be considered an agricultural commodity regulated by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. That part is also brilliant. So, in Podunk, Texas, where the farmers are drying up, here's a new way to make some money, which is the way it should be pitched in the state of Texas. But these draconian jackasses at the Capitol won't do it. This takes care of it. This, I believe, knocks your draconian knuckleheads out of the equation. That's a good thing. John McClellan is the co-founder and creator of ATX Hot Sauce in all 50 states, now in several retail outlets as well. So we're going to turn it over to the social media rock chef superstar, and we're going to walk through a few sauces and why you should buy. We've done Beat Heat, so we're second in line now for the tasting. Don't forget, everyone, go to atxhotsauce.com. So here we go.
All right, so this one is our smoked habanero 5-pepper. We smoke habaneros with ancho,
Is that going to hurt?
This one? No,
Yeah.
This one's actually really, really good.
Okay.
This is like your traditional tapatía, but without the vinegar in it, right? And because of that fermentation process that we've talked about all the time. This one is great on sandwiches, pizzas, things like that. Great on hot wings. I think you're going to really like this one too, especially the smoky flavor with the adobe chipotle and the smoked habaneros. We actually smoked the habaneros before we...
Does that go with the cab?
This would not go with cab. This would go with the great Chenin Blanc, though.
I knew you were gonna. I teed you up with that one.
Yeah.
That is good.
That's good. Isn't that good? It's just classic take. Well, it's a new take on a classic item. So it's called smoked habanero 5-pepper.
All right, don't forget
One of my
ATX.
favorites.
Don't forget atxhotsauce.com. How about that? And it keeps going. It is well thought out. To prevent youth use, there would be a mandatory 21 age limit for recreational cannabis, and the bill also prescribes certain restrictions on things like advertising. She may be one and done. I don't know. I don't think the rest of the country is quite as backwards as we are. Certainly when it comes to cannabis. So I don't know that it's fair that we say that she is one and done, but she and some others have gone to great lengths to say, what's so difficult about this? Let's just make it like alcohol. Let's just start there. And so there would be restrictions. We could debate all that stuff, but as a starting point, I think she's done a pretty nice job of saying, what's the problem here? And most normal people in most normal states are not going to have a problem with it. The SBA would need to treat marijuana businesses the same as other regulated markets, like it does for alcohol companies, for example. The measure also stipulates that veterans can't face discrimination in federal hiring due to cannabis use. Smart move there, by the way. Smart move. Discrimination in federal hiring due to cannabis use, and doctors with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs would be specifically authorized to issue recommendations for medical cannabis for veterans. Smart move. I don't get this, but federal agencies could continue to drug test for marijuana. That'd be like the Biden administration. That was real smart of them. Either way, it's 116 pages. This isn't all of it, but it is, I think, as comprehensive as anything, seems to be as sensible as anything, and it comes from a Republican in a southern state, which gives you some cover. She may be taking one for the team. I don't know. But I think, when you read this and you see the bill, and this was just a couple days ago, everywhere that's not Texas, I think people are going to look at it and go, yeah, okay. Alcohol, cannabis, just do the same thing. That's what she did. Now, does it happen? It might. I mean, it makes so much sense. It's hard to argue against. I mean, throwing in elements of the SBA and veterans kind of makes it a no-brainer. I mean, it really gives everyone some cover. Now, we're not going to talk about the state of Texas because, again, we live in the Stone Age. But, I mean, that thing really goes out of its way to give everybody something they want and makes it pretty easy to regulate. I mean, you can argue all you want about the regulations of alcohol, all that stuff, but she found an easy way in, and an easy way, I think, to throw everybody that's not in the state of Texas a bone or two and say, here, look, I'm making this easy on you. I feel like it's so sensible it's got a chance. And then, of course, we got to turn around and look at our statewide political heroes and say, okay, Stone Age representative, what do? Oh, crap. Rafael Cruz is going to be president of the new Republic of Texas, and we're going to secede. He threatened it the other day. Now we're really going to do it. We're going to secede over marijuana. And then that's where Austin steps in. So start the clock and start your bets on, one, at a federal level, how this goes over. And the fact that there's not been a bunch of noise, I think tells you there's not a bunch of noise. I think most people are like, yeah, sure. Thanks for doing that. They may not say it publicly. They may be able to take the position, I didn't really want this, and grandma, for your husband, veterans get this. I don't want this, but for business, you get this. I mean, there's so much cover at a federal level that I don't think there's much pushback. It hadn't been so far. Until it seeps down to the state of Texas and your righteous moralist, the crusaders of all crusaders in the state of Texas, that's where we're going to be on the clock next. How are they going to go for this? I don't care how sensible it is. We know how this works. You know it's sensible. You know it makes sense. You know that it's going to make people money. It's going to give everybody the easy templates to regulate and do with it what we want in a very simple form. That's what she's done in a brilliant way. She's taken something and said, let's just simplify this. Here are the 1,200 pages, how to make this just like alcohol. And I think that makes it easy for other representatives until the people of Texas get a hold of it. Then what?
From the Hot Pie Media Studios in Austin, Texas, it's the Jeff Ward Show. Listen at jeffwardshow.com.